I don't know about you, but I often think about that Will Smith song. I don't know if this is even what it's called, but Parents, They Just Don't Understand. And that song, only that lyric ever plays in my head. I don't even know that I know the cadence of it. But with that being said, stay tuned for a special episode of Invitational Insight where I have a very special guest discussing with me if parents, do we understand? Do parents in fact understand or do they not? Stay tuned. Welcome everyone to this episode of Invitational Insight. As you can tell, I have a very special guest, and for those of you who doubted his existence, yes, in fact, this is my husband.
Yep.
Finally coming out from behind the scenes and onto the camera to discuss something that I recently spoke with him about, and I thought it'd be a good conversation to have here in front of all of you. Which is funny because it's regarding a song reference to a song that I very vaguely know. Like, I don't even know if I know the lyrics. Only just, parents, they just don't understand. So we're going to go ahead and settle that debate. Do us, we parents, our parents, do we ever understand? So with me today is my husband, Arnaldo. Hi, Arnaldo.
Hi.
Good to have you. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Are the kids finally asleep?
I sure hope so.
They're probably not. So tell us a little bit about you. How long have we been together? How many times have I tried breaking up with you?
You say that. You tried like once and you were under the influence. So I don't even know if that counts. Yeah, wow. 2009. So almost 14 years together.
Oh my God.
And then married legally 10 plus years.
10 plus years. It's been a long time. We've been together for some time.
Yeah.
And now we're navigating being parents to babies, then toddlers, and very soon school-age kids. So,
yeah.
What don't we understand?
What don't we understand?
Loaded question.
Well, I mean, we also feel like we always know better than them, right? I mean, most cases we do. But no, I guess we don't understand living their life as a kid because we didn't live the life that they're living.
That's fair, and it's true. I honestly thought that, like, when people talked about parents not understanding, like, it was a generational thing. Like, it was an age-only thing, right? Like, we were still living the same human experience, but one of us was just a little bit older, so there were, different contexts in how we understood each other. But
yeah.
I think based on the conversation that we were having just yesterday, it's not just a generational, you don't understand me. It's a little bit more nuanced than that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just how you're raised and your surrounding, the household income, that it definitely, can change how one is raised and the things that they experience. I mean, this has come up because we just came back from a 7-night cruise that was technically at the request of our 4-year-old. That's what he wanted for his birthday.
Yeah. And
as a kid, my vacations were drives from New York to Florida for a couple days in Disney. And that was about it.
Yeah, I mean, I really can't complain on that front. Like, we were very lucky. Thankfully, like, my dad worked for the airline, so we were able to travel, I think, a little bit more regularly, but never to the extent that I think, like, even me as a mom experiencing it as, like, a person and having the kids see and witness the things that they're witnessing at their young age and with each other, traveling internationally on a cruise. Like, I'd never done that. I only started cruising last year.
Yeah. Things that we started doing for the first time in our 30s, our kids are experiencing before they even start school.
Right. Yeah. And that, I think that for me was pretty startling, was what they were exposed to and our willingness, I think, to live up to that, right? To really decide to be better than our parents, which not like as a slight, like my mom and dad were awful, but that's the goal. Like my mom, and to this day will still say, yeah, that's what I wanted. I wanted you to surpass me. I wanted you to be better. But I don't think that I've ever seen my mom act like better than her mom, because it was just like that was a struggle we were surviving. How was it for you at your house?
Yeah, I mean, well, and as you say that, it just reminds me too of something else that our kids are experiencing that, I mean, I personally never did. I mean, my mom worked. My mom worked a lot. And just looking back now, I mean, my mom worked essentially, she had every other Sunday off.
Yeah.
So if it wasn't every other Sunday, my mom was working at least a few hours a day. So I didn't see my mom really until the evening. And I mean, our kids basically see us
All
24/7
the
because
time.
we work from home.
She's looking at us right now.
Yeah.
So she just escaped out of bed.
So, but, and actually, I would call it fortunate to, because my mom was working so much, my grandma essentially raised me. And I don't know if my mom ever felt that she was, you know, any better or worse than my grandmother. It was just my grandmother was, you know, the matriarch. She was the person in charge. Um, so yeah, that's kind of that dynamic at home.
Yeah, actually, it's interesting. I never reflected on that like before. How your mom did work, and like my mom was at times a single mom, at times had help, but she was home for us. She was home a lot of the times. Like I remember after school, like having her there, and but I missed out on the opportunity of my grandmother because my grandmother stayed in Dominican Republic, so my mom wasn't able to bring her over to the States. We didn't have that like close knit bond, and in a way, I kind of envy our kids because not only do they have us, but they have my mom. Like they have
Yeah.
the influence of their grandparents and their great grandparents, and we didn't necessarily have that, which brings me back to I don't understand them. I don't understand, my kids because do you want to just say hi, Amelia? Say hi real quick and then go sit on the couch and watch mom and dad finish. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
So being able to, I think, like put myself in her shoes is difficult, not because of the age gap, but because of the things that she's experiencing that I don't really have common
Yeah.
ground with.
No, I mean, there's a lot that they experienced that, we didn't experience. I mean, literally the language we're speaking. My mom, she's bilingual now, but as growing up, it was mainly Spanish in the house, and Spanish was my main language up until I guess first grade when I was moved from bilingual to um, regular classes. But yeah, these kids. They get to speak English to mom and dad and Spanish to mom and dad, and then Spanish to grandma, right? ¿Te puedes sentar, por favor?
Allá en la silla.
Gracias.
Yeah, even that, my mom, same. Like again, having the dichotomy of like my parents and them having such different lives. Like my dad flew in English, really, I think closely assimilated, like really just almost instantaneously to the culture, and my mom having the language as a barrier and educational obstacles and immigration obstacles at first. Like it's a whole different concept, whereas now like our kids won't have to understand having to do like immigration paperwork or finding out like what to do to be naturalized or
just
how to
translating
learn to speak
or just calling. I mean
not needing help at parent teacher conferences to tell me what the teacher's saying.
Yeah, or even this is some. I mean, obviously they won't understand the idea of a rotary phone, but even just calling somebody for my grandma, because my grandma didn't know how to use a phone.
Yeah, wow.
So I dialed for her. Obviously it's not something they need. I mean, they can navigate our phone pretty well.
Yeah, I think so. Now, I think the question too that I didn't get to ask you, but it's great to ask now is, in light of knowing that we don't understand our kids on all of those levels, do we feel that that puts us at an advantage or a disadvantage to bridge the gap between what we know or don't know, and how that impacts their growing up?
I mean, does it put us at an advantage or a disadvantage? I I would say kind of neutral on it because I mean, I guess you can say it put us at an advantage, I guess,
Okay.
ultimately, because we're saying we don't understand, yet we're talking about all the things that we claim we don't understand, but yet we understand it. So we're able to,
She got my belly dancing.
acknowledge that, yeah, there are some things that our kids are
Yeah.
taking for granted, and we're gonna have to kind of
Go sit over there,
show
please.
them. We're gonna have to kind of show them that, that there are things that they shouldn't be taking for granted, like going on a nice vacation at an early age. Where maybe there's gonna be a time where we won't be able to go on that vacation, and the vacation will be a staycation or no vacation at all. So at least we're acknowledging that yeah, okay, we're fortunate to give our kids a different life, but we're also remembering where we came from, where our family came from, where our parents and grandparents and great grandparents came from, and we're gonna actively work to keep them grounded, basically keep our kids grounded.
Yeah, I think I agree. I almost felt for a second that it would be a disadvantage, but for the same reason that I go back and forth with whether do we understand them or not, right? Because the human experience is only the human experience, and then we could do it throughout, centuries, and find common themes, but there's a difference in the context and in the nuances. And are they at an advantage because of what we've been able to do, and how I think aware of how different we are of our parents, of us, of how we're raising them? But I also felt for a second like at a disadvantage because then, and maybe this is more a disadvantage for us as adults,
Mm-hmm.
and parents, because now we, growing in the advent of technology in which we did, and trying to make sense of how rapidly things were changing, we really had to bend in different ways, and understand concepts that maybe we weren't ready for. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel that as we're going on as parents, that could also be a disadvantage for us because we might have more burnout in trying to blend both the worlds of what we know and what we want to improve, and giving it to the kids but not fully understanding what the repercussions of it are. But I think that even with that being said, yeah, it's more than likely a disadvantage because we're resilient as fuck and we're
Yeah.
just learning to roll with it, and our kids are seeing like firsthand how we are growing with them, and learning through our experience and through their experience. So
Yeah, I mean, and we're not perfect.
yeah, we're not.
We're not perfect. So, and again, we're kind of acknowledging that as well, that we're not perfect. So I we're mindful of this, which
Yeah.
I think is at least a good first step.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot more intentionality, I think, between us, the conversations that we're having with each other, with the kids, with my mom, even. I mean, things I never thought I'd have to like explain or even see her kind of see our way, which is been in a way like a gift, right? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think I would venture to final that thought and like, yeah, we're landing on advantage for right now.
Yeah,
Okay.
you got to put it a graphic now.
I get it.
Check
Advantage, right?
Yes.
So it's like we're gonna have to like parents understand or they don't. They don't, but they do, but mostly don't. But it's an advantage, and that's okay, right? Like that's literally how it played out in my head too. And I wanted to tell you this too because I know that you wanted me to prepare you before, but like sometimes my brain is like a one-time use camera, and if I tell you what I'm gonna tell you when it's time for me to tell you, I will not tell you the same way. So
Okay.
just for my neurodivergent
Alright.
people, there is the explanation that I came up with just before we started filming this. I think with that being said, then, and this is something that I had discussed too, like on the last podcast, for me, it's been about, for the most important thing for me has been about like not taking it personal, not letting that ego get in the way, and also reminding our kids how fallible we are. For you, what would you say is like the anchor in when you're doing something and you have like that, internal come to Jesus moment where you're like, all right, I'm doing this for X, Y, and Z. Like what are some of those anchors for you in parenting?
Yeah, I mean, number one is not taking it personal. And I think the other one is just remembering that whatever they may be asking for or wanting you to do, there's going to be a time where they're not going to want to do that. So we have this discussion multiple nights a week when a certain someone happens to find their way to the bed in the middle of the night, and or want us to stay a poco, like she says every night, and why she's probably not sleeping right now because we didn't stay a poco with her. There's going to be a day that she's not going to want that.
That's true.
There's, speaking of the cruise, but this happens anytime we're out and I'm tired and walking around a lot. And then the next thing she wants is to be on my shoulders. And then Diego wants to be on my shoulders. Yeah. And as tiring as it is, as much as my back and neck hurts because they happen to lean on my head, there's going to be a day where they're not going to want to do that. So every time they ask for something or that I'm just too tired to do or might just be frustrated with the ask, try to remind myself that there's going to be a time where they're not going to ask for that. So I should appreciate it.
Man, that's sobering, but very true. Yeah, it's not permanent. Wow, yeah. Sorry, I didn't expect that, and I feel like I at some point like glossed over it, but it's absolutely true. In all the different ways that we've grown with each other and now grown with kids and have really done so much. Like I just think about like this past year, like the past 3 years, and really what a difference it's been for me personally, like after having Diego. How do we, and I say we because I haven't really thought of this either, but how do we quantify, I think, for ourselves and internalize all that we've been able to do while having kids around?
Quantify?
Like, if we were to package it in some way that it's like, oh wow, like this was an achievement, and like really look at all of it. What would be, I think, a way for you to feel satisfied with all the things that we've done and like really just take it all in and yeah, let it become something that's part of you.
I think it's really just acknowledge that we're fortunate in everything. We're fortunate that we're healthy. We're fortunate that our kids are healthy. We're fortunate that we have a great support group. We're fortunate that our kids are smart and silly like their mom.
All right, please go sit down, baby.
But also respectful most of the time.
I'd say they're super polite, yeah.
And polite. So really, it's just feeling fortunate.
Yeah, I like that. Because like I said, I hadn't thought about it either. But I think, yeah, being anchored more in a sense of gratitude than in a sense of this has just been so much change in such a short period of time, I think could be a little distracting. All right, well, on that note, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up because somebody has gotten a little bit too comfortable behind us. So thank you so very much for joining us today. Arnaldo, any parting words that you'd like to
I
let
just
the
think
people know?
It's very apropos, I guess, that the first time I join you here and we talk about parenting is when your daughter kind of takes over.
Puts us to the test.
So for everybody wondering why I haven't been on before, it's because I'm normally keeping her and the dogs and the cat and our son away from the recording area.
Yeah, trying to keep it compartmentalized and give them their privacy in their life from social media as I just expose all of mine as I'm consenting to do. But with that, I want to thank you all again. We're up to 46 subscribers. I don't know if I told you.
Oh, nice.
Really exciting. So thank you all who have participated today, who have joined. Any comments that you have for me or for my husband, any questions, please feel free to leave them below. This is part 1 of all the guests I will be having. So for the next few episodes, I will have other guests attending. So with that, I want to thank my guest, Arnaldo, my husband.
Oh, you're very welcome.
For not just participating with me today, but for keeping down the fort and wrangling everybody while I try to do all the Jen things that I get to do. So thanks, babe.
I got you.
Oh, sweet. All right. Well, thank you. Take care, and everybody have a great night.